Hey guys, how are you? I'm going to check to make sure we are live. We are here with Kare today. So excited. She's here to help us with meal planning. All right, let me just check my Facebook really quick on my phone. Yes, we are live. Yay. So if you guys are joining us live today, if you will comment in the leave a comment below so we know you're here. We can interact with you. As a reminder, we are streaming via StreamYard. So unless you give StreamYard permission, it will just say Facebook user, and that's okay too, but we'd like to know who you are. So comment below if you're live, and if you are catching the replay, which I know most of you probably will be catching the replay today, please hashtag replay so we can get in touch with you if you have any questions. All right, we're just gonna jump right in today because I know we're all so busy. I want to introduce Kara. I'm so glad that you're here. She is a former personal chef turned kitchen coach, so she knows her way around the kitchen, right? She helps busy moms get back their time and energy and their brain space so that they normally spend worrying about what's for dinner, making meal prep super quick and easy and sustainable using her simple 5-step process. So I'm actually just going to turn it over to you for you to give us all your words of wisdom about meal planning. Remember, guys, I tell you all the time, take the worry and stress out of all the normal things that we do that we have to do, right? We have to eat, we have to plan meals for our children, got to cook them something. Instead of having ramen noodles or the same thing over and over and over, she's going to tell us the easy way to make sure we're planning really good meals for our kiddos. So I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to mute it. But if you have any questions, drop them in the comments.
All right. Well, thank you, Stephanie. Glad to be here. And I love talking about meal planning. So this is perfect. And we are going to get to like strategy and how to actually do it and some tips on that. Although Stephanie has a great plan that she does. So if you've heard her talk about that, that is a great way to do it. But first, I wanted to talk about a couple of things that we often like jump over and don't talk about when it comes to meal planning. If you have been in the online space, business online space for any amount of time, you've probably heard this kind of stuff talked about a lot in business, but things like your mindset and the myths that you're believing about meal planning also play a big role in like whether or not you're taking action. And so I just want to address a few of those. And I know some of these will resonate with you. And it's all about just shifting your mindset a little bit so meal planning doesn't feel so heavy. And I know it's something that people dread. And when you approach meal planning like that, like you're not going to want to do it. Right. So shifting your mindset a little bit is important. So I have a question for those of you watching, like what are your limiting beliefs about meal planning? A lot of us have them, and they're the kind of thing that, as Stephanie said, like we have to eat, right? Like food is a central part of our life. We have to make meals. We have to feed our families. We have to feed ourselves. And so these limiting beliefs tend to just like cycle. And for some people, it's like on a daily basis, like what's going through your mind? Oh my gosh, I don't know what's for dinner tonight. Oh my gosh, like I don't have the ingredients. I'm not good at this. All of those things can kind of go round and round in your head. And so then when the end of the day comes, it's like, I don't want to do this. And that's totally understandable because you've been thinking these things all day. So those are things that you can just take a minute and shift your mindset so you don't have such a heavy burden feeling about meal planning. And so some of the steps that we're going to talk about are things that are going to help like lift that burden. But things like, I'm not good at this. I imagine that there are things in your life that you've come across that you didn't know how to do and that maybe you weren't good at it first. And what did you do about those things? You got help, right? Whatever that looks like for meal planning. Do you have a friend who's, who could help keep you accountable? Do you need to put up a whiteboard in your kitchen, like Stephanie and I have, and just leave yourself a note so you're accountable, or tell your family that you want to start writing on the board what's for dinner ahead of time, and they can, like, there's just look it up. You can YouTube a lot of things. There are people out there like me that help support you in this. So it's just kind of like when you started a business and you didn't exactly know what you were doing, and so you reached out for help. It's the same concept, and there's no shame in that. There's no that is something to celebrate, and you're getting help. And so that is one thing that I just want to kind of lift that burden of. It's not about being good at it. You get good, and it's not about cooking. Like, you can follow a recipe. It's not about, it's just not about the art of cooking. It's about feeding our families. And so it's easier than perhaps your mind is telling you that it is. And so a little bit of support can make a big difference. And that's another thing that I really help my community and my clients with, is this idea that meal planning is like this big thing, right? And nobody wants to tackle this. Like, I have to feed my family 3 meals a day, and they like snacks, and 7 days a week. And by the way, for the rest of your life. Like, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to start that. Nobody wants to put a dent in that or try to tackle that. Like, that isn't helping at all. And so I want you to remember and know that meal planning is not all or nothing. There's nothing about meal planning that is all or nothing. Like, you can start wherever you are. And when I talk to moms about meal planning, and I ask them this question, and I'll ask this question to you: what number of meals, what number of new, like, fresh meals that you just made on your table each night, how many nights a week would you want to do that, to say, this meal planning thing is working for me and I am happy with it? And I can tell you that nobody's ever told me 7. Like, that's never the answer. I never heard 6. And I work with, like, entrepreneurial moms or working moms. They're busy. And the most common answer I get is 4, sometimes 5. Okay? And so this idea that it has to be every meal, every day of the week, like my family, for example, we like to go out to eat. I serve leftovers one night a week, at least. And, maybe we have pizza night. Like, last night, my husband was out with friends, and my daughter and I sat on the couch and ate nachos and watched a movie. Like, I want to have that freedom in my meal planning. So just throw out this all or nothing thing, and also start small. Like, just start with dinner. And so those are a couple things that I want you to just kind of check in with yourself. Like, am I making it harder in my mind than it really is in reality? Meal planning is something that can be broken down into simple daily habits, and it's not this big scary thing. And it's also not all or nothing. So hopefully those are some helpful things for you to think about if meal planning is weighing on you, and also you feel like you don't know where to start, because you start with one meal. Like, that's it. Just start with one meal. Like, it's Thursday today. What if you found one recipe today, and you went and got the groceries, and you prepped one of the ingredients for it over the weekend, and you served it on Monday? Like, that is the habit. That's the habit that you're trying to establish, and you can build on that. So start small. And then the other thing I just want to touch on, this is one of those, like, myths that goes around and doesn't help anybody. And this idea that because we're women, or because we're moms, or because we're wives, or whatever, that we're supposed to know how to do this. And, whatever cultural, societal thing that comes from, like, let's just, like, let that go, because it's just not helpful. It doesn't serve anybody. And so if that's a place where you are, of, like, feeling maybe guilty or, like, shame, like, I don't know how to do this, so I just am supposed to struggle and figure this out, I go back to just, like, get some help and reach out and start small and all of those things. But I did just want to touch on that, because that is something that comes up a lot with the moms I talk to. And it's kind of, just ask yourself, like, is that something that's under the surface that you're struggling with? Because it can get in the way. And there's no expectation that you just know how to do this. I did not grow up learning how to cook next to my mom or my grandma, or, I happen to enjoy cooking, and I, like, figured things out, trial and error. And then, as Stephanie said, I cooked for other families, and this has been a years long process of me figuring out the system that I now share with other moms. And I've worked with a lot of moms, and it's just, especially, like, in our generation, like, this idea that we're just supposed to know how to do this, let's just, like, throw that out the window, because it's not helping anybody. So those are some things that I hope can just, like, I don't know, calm any anxiety or uneasiness about meal planning. And then let's just talk about like the steps. Like how do you actually make meal planning easy? If you're in the mindset like this can be easy, then how do you actually do that? And the first thing, I'll give you just some kind of nuggets that are going to help you move forward. And the first thing I want to say is start earlier. Sunday night is not a really great time if this is a new habit for you or something that you don't love to do, or you're not in the routine of it. Sunday night's not a great time to start meal planning for the week that starts Monday. So it happens that it is Thursday today. And in my world, Thursday is Think Ahead Thursday. And what that means is this is the day that you simply start thinking ahead for next week. And so if you have kind of a standard week, like Monday is kind of the start of your week, that gives you Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to prepare, right? Because meal planning isn't this big thing that has to happen all at once. One of the most common questions I get when I tell people what I do is like, oh, do I have to take my whole weekend in the kitchen? It's like, nope. No, you absolutely don't, because I don't want to do that. I don't do that. So let's like break it down. So, for example, on Thursdays, that's the day I pick recipes. Like that's the only thing I do on Thursdays is I pick recipes. I glance ahead at my week next week and I say, like, do I have a day that dinner's interrupted or a day I'm really busy? I'll pick a simple recipe. But then I go to my recipes and I just pick them on Thursday. That's the only thing I do. But like, how far ahead am I? And it's only Thursday. And then on Friday, I make the grocery list from those recipes. Like, oh, let's make a grocery list. And then I just cross-check my kitchen. What ingredients do I already have? And that's the only thing that happens on Friday. These are like 10 or 15-minute things that I know you can schedule into your day, because that's something that's going to make meal planning stick, is like you're just weaving it into what's already happening. You can make this work with whatever your schedule is right now. And so those are just two examples of get started earlier so you actually have the time to do them. The weekend, opening up Google, or Pinterest, what should I eat next week? Like that's too big. Is anybody with me? Like I need my choices narrowed, my options. And so along with starting earlier and picking your recipes, the next kind of big thing that I want you to walk away with is have a recipe hub. Have a place that you go that you find recipes. If you're brand new to meal planning, then this is something that you're going to have to grow. If you're doing some like cooking for your family, you have some family favorite recipes, this is already started for you and you'll build on it. But the key is to have the recipes in a place where you can actually find them, right? Not like, oh yeah, there's this lasagna recipe I know my family likes. I wonder where it is. Or what was that food blog I was on last week? I wanted to make that recipe. Like, not helpful. So if you find a recipe you like, print it out or save it or whatever and start the collection. Because what makes my Thursdays like really quick, like 5 minutes, is I have a collection. I open up my binder. They are recipes I know how to make, I'm confident with, I know my family likes. It's not Google. It's not Pinterest. It's like, this is my collection and I'm going to choose from it. And I have enough that there's variety, so you don't have to worry about that. But this is something that you build on, because part of the problem with meal planning, and let me know if this resonates with you, is decision. Like there's too many decisions. The decision fatigue is like, that's what I want to run away from. Right. And so if I have my options narrowed and I know how to make them and I'm confident in those recipes, then I'm going to go on Thursdays. I flip through my binder and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm excited about these recipes and I know my family likes them. So that is something else that I recommend that you definitely take time to build. So if you are watching this and you're like, I have had meal planning and I don't get along. Like I've had some history there, didn't work great. Or you're just like, I'm brand new to this thing. I really want to do this. Those are some places that I want you to start. Is first, like check in on your mindset, but also start earlier and start that collection of recipes. So start earlier in the week and then start small. So just like one recipe and get the habit going. because what's going to make it stick is making it a habit. And I know, like you guys work with money, right? So like there's habits there, right? And there's like, this is just how you manage your money and your business. And like meal planning is exactly the same thing. It's like getting into a rhythm, getting into a habit. And so I know Stephanie every morning, I think, is like she checks in with herself, like, what's for dinner tonight? Okay. And that's a great question to ask yourself the night before or the morning of. Like, that is just such a great habit. I love that, that she does that, because it just, and it could be a reminder on your phone. Like if you're new to this, right, your mind is going to want you to not do this. And so have a reminder on your phone, like what is for dinner tonight? What ingredients do I have? Do I need to thaw meat? Like that's a big one, gotta get the meat out of the freezer. So those kinds of things, I want to encourage you in those habits, those just small, easy habits that can get you started, so you can know what's for dinner and know that you have the ingredients and know how to get it on the table quickly and easily. Because the time saver and the brain space, I know you guys want to spend time mapping out your businesses and knowing what's going on with your business and being creative in your business and a visionary. And all of that takes time and energy and brain space. And so if you'll take that worry about what's for dinner and clear that out, then you have so much time for the other things that you're doing. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that gives you some like actionable things to take away, and to act on and run with it. And if you want more support with this, Stephanie, is this a good time for me to tell you?
Absolutely. I'll throw it in there. Yes.
This is my free Facebook group. So please join me in there. If you want to start that recipe hub, I have some amazing recipes in that group that you can find just by searching recipes, and you can get yourself started there. Also just a lot of support and trainings in there. Also what's happening in there, which I really want to bring your attention to, is I have a 5-day challenge coming up, starts September 19th, and it's called Always Know What's for Dinner. And that's exactly what it will let you do, is always know what's for dinner. And it walks you through the steps each day of the week and how to do that. And so check it out. If you join the group, you will get all the info that you need to get signed up for that. But that is the best place to connect with me. And I'd love to see you in there and support you, whatever, kind of level of support. If you just need a little, like, it's Thursday, have you started meal planning today? Or a challenge or recipes, hop in there and you'll love it.
Yes, you will. Absolutely. I'm in that group and you will love it. I promise you. Which is why I wanted you in today, because you do have such helpful tips that I've incorporated. Like you said, yes, I definitely meal plan. And it's super important because that's just brain space that I'm not having to worry about. Like there's something, just one more thing I can check off the list, right? Because my family has to eat, and I'm the person typically who is responsible for making sure that happens. So yes, meal prep, meal plan, and then wake up every morning and you know what's for dinner. So like she said, you have to thaw the meat, which is something that we do because we buy in bulk and freeze. And that's where I used to struggle. I knew what I wanted for dinner, but I didn't plan far enough ahead. So it's 5 o'clock. I'm having roast tonight and it's still in the freezer. Well, I'm definitely not having roast tonight if it's frozen solid at 5 o'clock, right? But now, like today, we're having roast for dinner, and it was out at 8 o'clock this morning in the crock pot, and it's cooking. I smell it. I'm upstairs and I can smell it cooking in the kitchen downstairs. So I know what's happening for dinner, and I haven't worried about that at all today. It's done. So meal planning, I love what she's done. You've got some amazing kid-friendly recipes too. And a lot of moms in here have small children at home. And that's something that's important because some of us have really picky eaters. But you've taken the guesswork out of that too. So no more Pinterest scrolling for hours trying to find a chicken recipe or a beef recipe that your kids will like. She's already done all of that for us. So make sure you get in that group. So I don't see any questions in here, but guys, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Not sure if you're in the group right now as a group member, but if you're not, I can get you in here. And if not, I can always send you those comments over. But please join her Facebook group. Highly, highly recommend everything that she has to offer. And again, I really appreciate you being with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Bye.